The rain pounded against the windows of the old Victorian house in suburban Chicago as Colt stood in the living room, his heart racing. His father, a stern man with a Bible always within reach, had just screamed the words that shattered everything. "You're no son of mine if you're one of those." In that moment, at 17, Colt was thrust out into the storm, his belongings scattered on the wet lawn, the door slamming shut behind him forever. Colt trudged through the downpour, his backpack heavy with the few clothes he'd managed to grab. The streetlights blurred in his tears as he made his way to the only place he could think of: his grandmother's small bungalow on the outskirts of the city. Evelyn, his grandma, had always been the outlier in the family, the one who baked cookies and told stories of her wild youth in the 1960s, defying the conservative mold that gripped the rest of the Thompsons. When she opened the door that night, her eyes widened at the sight of him, soaked and trembling. Without a word, she pulled him inside, wrapped him in a warm blanket, and made him hot cocoa. "Tell me everything, dear," she said softly, her voice a balm against the chaos. As the days turned into weeks, Colt settled into life with Evelyn. She didn't judge. Instead, she listened as he poured out his soul about realizing he was gay, the secret crushes on boys at school, the fear that had kept him silent. "Love is love, Colt," she told him one evening over dinner. "Your parents are stuck in their ways, but that doesn't make you wrong." Her acceptance was a lifeline, pulling him from the brink of despair. She helped him finish high school online, encouraged him to apply to community college, and even drove him to his first part-time job at a local bookstore. In her home, filled with faded photographs and the scent of lavender, Colt began to rebuild himself. But the rift with his family festered like an open wound. His parents, devout members of a strict evangelical church, saw his orientation as a sin that needed eradication. They cut off all contact, and his siblings, 2 brothers and a sister, followed suit, echoing the parental decree. Whispers spread through their tight-knit community. The Thompsons' youngest had been corrupted. Colt felt the sting of isolation, but Evelyn's fierce protectiveness shielded him. She confronted her son, Colt's father, in heated phone calls. "You've thrown away your own blood for what? A book interpretation?" she'd argue, her voice steady despite her age. Yet the family remained unmoved, viewing her as an enabler of deviance. Their relationship blossomed amid the challenges. Ryan introduced Colt to Chicago's vibrant LGBTQ+ scene: pride events, support groups, and underground art shows where self-expression reigned. Evelyn adored Ryan, inviting him over for Sunday dinners where she'd regale them with tales of her own forbidden romance in her youth, with a woman she'd never married due to societal pressures. "Times are changing, boys," she'd say, her eyes twinkling. "But not fast enough." Colt and Ryan navigated the world together, holding hands in safe spaces, stealing kisses away from prying eyes. Yet the shadow of Colt's family loomed. Anonymous letters arrived at Evelyn's door, warning her to stop harboring the sinner or face consequences from the community. As Colt turned 21, Evelyn's health began to decline. A diagnosis of lung cancer came swiftly, the result of years of smoking in her rebellious days. Colt quit his job to care for her, with Ryan by his side, helping with meals and doctor visits. In her final months, Evelyn revised her will, leaving her modest home and savings to Colt. "This is your fresh start," she told him weakly from her bed. "Don't let them take it from you." Her death hit like a freight train. At the funeral, Colt's family showed up, not out of grief, but obligation. His father avoided eye contact. His mother whispered prayers under her breath. No condolences were offered to Colt. Instead, sidelong glances and murmurs about the lifestyle filled the air. In the weeks following, grief consumed Colt. Ryan moved in to help, their bond strengthening through shared sorrow. But tension brewed. Colt's father contested the will, claiming Evelyn had been manipulated in her frail state. Court battles ensued, dragging Colt into a legal nightmare. "They're not just rejecting me," Colt confided in Ryan one night, tears streaming. "They're trying to erase me." The judge, sympathetic to the evidence of Evelyn's sound mind, ruled in Colt's favor. The house was his, For a brief moment, hope flickered. Colt and Ryan painted the walls, planted a garden in Evelyn's honor, dreaming of a future together. Yet victory was short-lived. Whispers in the neighborhood turned to outright hostility. Colt's brothers, influenced by their father's rage, spread rumors that the house was a den of iniquity. One night, as Colt and Ryan slept, the smell of smoke jolted them awake. Flames licked the sides of the bungalow, the fire spreading rapidly. They escaped with their lives, watching from the street as firefighters battled the blaze. Arson, the investigators concluded, but no arrests were made. Suspicion pointed to the family, but proof was elusive. Colt's world crumbled again, the home that symbolized salvation reduced to ashes. Standing amid the charred remains the next morning, Colt felt a numbness that bordered on rage. Ryan held him close, his own eyes red from smoke and tears. "We'll rebuild," Ryan promised. But Colt wondered if anything could be salvaged from this destruction. The insurance payout was meager, barely enough for a small apartment in the city. As they sifted through the ruins, Colt found a singed photo of Evelyn, her smile defiant even in decay. It fueled a fire within him, not of vengeance, but of resolve. Moving into a cramped studio in Wrigleyville, Colt and Ryan adapted to their new reality. The neighborhood was more accepting, with rainbow flags fluttering from windows and couples like them walking freely. Yet the trauma lingered. Colt suffered nightmares of flames and rejection, waking in cold sweats. Ryan suggested therapy, and together they attended sessions at a local LGBTQ+ center. The counselor, a kind woman named Maria, helped Colt unpack layers of hurt. "Your family's actions aren't about you," she said. "They're about their fears." But Colt struggled to believe it. How could blood kin inflict such pain? Word of the arson spread through social media, thanks to a viral post from a neighbor. Support poured in donations, messages of solidarity from strangers across the country. Colt's story became a symbol in online forums, sparking debates about family loyalty versus personal truth. "Is blood thicker than bigotry?" one commenter asked. Colt read them obsessively, finding both comfort and conflict. Some praised his resilience. Others accused him of exaggeration, defending traditional values. Ryan urged him to step away. "This isn't helping," he said gently. But Colt felt compelled to respond, defending his right to exist. Meanwhile, tensions with his family escalated. His sister, Emily, the youngest sibling, reached out secretly via email. "I miss you," she wrote. "Dad's wrong, but I'm scared." Their clandestine meetings in coffee shops became a fragile bridge. Emily shared how the family home had become a pressure cooker of resentment since Colt's departure. Their father preached against the gay agenda at church gatherings, using Colt as a cautionary tale. Emily's own doubts about her faith grew, influenced by her brother's story. "What if love isn't conditional?" she confided. Colt encouraged her to think freely, but warned of the cost. Ryan's family, in contrast, embraced Colt like their own. Holidays at their lakeside home in Wisconsin offered respite. Laughter around the dinner table, acceptance without question. Ryan's parents, progressive educators, discussed politics and rights with passion. "We're fighting for a better world," Ryan's mother said one evening. Colt envied their unity, but it highlighted his loss. Back in Chicago, he threw himself into activism, volunteering at pride parades and speaking at youth groups. "Coming out cost me everything," he'd share. "But staying hidden would have cost my soul." Ryan joined him, their relationship a beacon for others. Yet cracks appeared. Ryan wanted stability, a home, perhaps marriage. Colt, haunted by betrayal, hesitated. "What if it's all taken away again?" he'd argue. Their discussions turned heated, emotions raw. One night, after a fundraiser, Ryan confessed his fears. "I love you, but I can't fix this alone." Colt realized his pain was spilling over, threatening what they had built. In a moment of vulnerability, he proposed couples counseling, a step toward healing. As winter blanketed the city, Colt received a bombshell. Evidence surfaced linking his brothers to the arson. A witness, an old neighbor, came forward with photos of their car near the house that night. Charges were filed, splitting the family further. His father disowned the brothers publicly, claiming they acted without his knowledge, but Colt knew better. The trial loomed, a public spectacle that dredged up old wounds. Media coverage intensified, with pundits debating parental responsibility in hate crimes. Should families be held accountable for rejecting LGBTQ+ members? Headlines blared. Emily testified on Colt's behalf, her voice trembling as she exposed the family's toxic dynamics. The courtroom gasped at her revelations. The sermons, the threats, the isolation. Colt watched, a mix of gratitude and sorrow. His brothers were convicted of lesser charges, sentenced to probation and community service. Justice felt hollow. No apology came. His father, in a rare interview, defended his stance. "I love my son, but I hate the sin." Colt's response went viral. "Love doesn't burn houses." Through it all, Ryan remained steadfast, their love a quiet rebellion. They adopted a rescue dog, named it Evie after Evelyn, and dreamed of fostering kids one day. But societal conflicts persisted. At a town hall on LGBTQ+ rights, Colt faced protesters chanting slurs. Ryan pulled him away, but the encounter reignited Colt's anger. "How do we change this?" he asked later, head in hands. Ryan's answer was simple: by living our truth. Spring brought renewal but also reckoning. Colt's activism drew national attention, landing him an interview on a progressive podcast. He spoke eloquently about resilience, the cost of authenticity, and the need for societal change. Listeners resonated, sharing their own stories of rejection. One email stood out from a distant cousin who'd faced similar exile. "Your courage gives me hope," it read. Colt replied personally, building a network of survivors. Yet personal doubts crept in. Ryan proposed marriage on a sunny day in Millennium Park, down on one knee with a simple ring. Colt said yes, tears of joy mixing with fear. Planning the wedding forced confrontations. Who to invite? Emily attended the engagement party, but the rest of the family declined, sending a card with Bible verses instead. "Praying for your redemption," it said. Colt tore it up, but the hurt lingered. Ryan's family filled the void, organizing tastings and venue visits with enthusiasm. The wedding approached amid broader conflicts. A Supreme Court case on LGBTQ+ protections dominated headlines, polarizing the nation. Colt marched in rallies, his voice amplified by experience. "Rights aren't optional," he'd chant. Back home, he and Ryan debated the future, adoption, perhaps surrogacy. "I want a family that chooses love," Colt said. But memories of his own upbringing made him wary. Therapy helped, unpacking generational trauma. Maria noted progress. "You're breaking the cycle." Tragedy struck unexpectedly. Emily, torn between loyalty and truth, attempted suicide after a family confrontation. Rushed to the hospital. She survived, but the event shattered Colt. Visiting her bedside, he held her hand. "You don't have to choose," he whispered. Emily confessed the family's ongoing pressure. Their father had disowned her too for supporting Colt. In recovery, she moved in with Colt and Ryan temporarily, finding solace in their acceptance. "This is what family should be," she said one evening over pizza. The incident fueled Colt's advocacy. He started a nonprofit for LGBTQ+ youth rejected by families, named Evie's Haven. Donations surged, allowing workshops and safe houses. Ryan designed the logo, a phoenix rising from ashes, symbolic of their journey. Success brought scrutiny. Conservative groups labeled it indoctrination, picketing events. Colt faced death threats online, forcing him to hire security. Ryan worried constantly. "Is this worth the risk?" he'd ask. Colt's response: "Silence is riskier." As the wedding day dawned, nerves frayed. In a quaint garden venue, surrounded by friends and Ryan's family, Colt walked down the aisle. Emily stood as witness, her presence a quiet victory. Vows exchanged, they kissed amid cheers. The reception buzzed with joy, but an uninvited guest appeared. Colt's mother, slipping in quietly. She approached hesitantly. "I came to see my son happy," she murmured. Colt froze, emotions swirling. Ryan squeezed his hand. In that moment, Colt chose grace. "Thank you for coming." No reconciliation followed, but it planted a seed. Honeymoon in Hawaii offered escape. Beaches, sunsets, intimacy without fear. Back home, reality intruded. Evie's haven expanded, but funding battles with anti-LGBTQ plus legislators tested resolve. Colt testified in state hearings, sharing his story to humanize the fight. Rejection leads to destruction, he argued. Opponents countered with traditional values. Debates raged, mirroring national divides. Personal growth continued. Colt forgave his brothers in letters, not for them, but for himself. Responses varied, one apologetic, the other defiant. His father remained silent. Emily, now independent, pursued therapy in college, inspired by Colt. Ryan's career flourished, his art exhibited in galleries, often depicting themes of love and loss. Yet new conflicts arose. A community scandal involved a church leader exposed for hypocrisy, preaching against gays while hiding his own affairs. Colt's family ties to the church drew him in. Reporters hounded him for comments. "Hypocrisy hurts everyone," he stated. The fallout divided the congregation, with some members reaching out to Colt for dialogue. Tentative bridges formed, challenging long-held beliefs. Summer heat waves mirrored rising tensions. Evie's Haven hosted its first summer camp for at-risk youth, a success marred by protests. Counter-protesters showed up in force, outnumbering the hate. Colt addressed the crowd. "We're here to heal, not harm." Media coverage boosted visibility, but exhaustion set in. Ryan noticed Colt's burnout. "You can't save everyone," he said lovingly. They took a weekend getaway to recharge, reaffirming their commitment. Family dynamics shifted subtly. Colt's mother began secret visits, bringing homemade meals. Conversations started neutral, weather, news, evolving to deeper topics. "I was wrong," she admitted one afternoon. "Fear blinded me." Tears flowed as Colt shared his pain. Forgiveness came slowly, conditional on change. She attended a support group for parents of LGBTQ plus kids, learning empathy. His father, however, doubled down, isolating himself further. Professionally, Colt faced a moral dilemma. A major donor to Evie's Haven, a corporation with questionable labor practices, offered a large grant. Accepting meant compromise, rejecting risked closure. Debates with Ryan and the board ensued. Integrity over money, Colt decided, turning it down. Crowdfunding saved the day, proving community power. Ryan's art show featured a piece inspired by their story, a canvas of flames transforming into wings. Critics praised its emotional depth. At the opening, Colt met influencers in the LGBTQ plus space, forging alliances. Yet, envy stirred. Ryan's rising fame highlighted Colt's behind-the-scenes role. "I'm proud of you," Colt said, masking insecurities. Open talks strengthened their bond. A national crisis amplified voices. A wave of anti-LGBTQ plus bills in states, targeting youth. Colt traveled to rallies, testifying against them. "These laws destroy lives," he declared. Personal stories poured in. Teens like his younger self seeking refuge. Evie's Haven expanded online, offering virtual support. Ryan joined virtually, sketching portraits of survivors. Back home, Emily announced her engagement to a woman, coming out fully. Colt beamed with pride. The family reaction was mixed. Mother supportive, father furious, brothers divided. Emily stood firm. Love wins. Her wedding, small and intimate, included Colt as officiant. It symbolized progress, but underscored ongoing struggles. As fall approached, Colt reflected on his journey. From rejection to resilience, loss to love. Yet, society lagged. A high-profile hate crime in a nearby city shook him. A gay couple assaulted. Colt organized vigils, channeling grief into action. Ryan worried about safety. "We have to live, not just fight," he urged. Balance became key. A breakthrough came unexpectedly. Colt's father, health failing, reached out via letter. "I've lost too much," it read. A tentative meeting followed, fraught with emotion. Accusations flew, but listening prevailed. "I can't change overnight," his father said. Colt replied, "Start with acceptance." No hugs, but a door cracked open. Winter's chill brought introspection. Colt and Ryan celebrated their first anniversary with a quiet dinner, toasting to survival. Evie's haven thrived, impacting hundreds. Yet, global events, international crackdowns on LGBTQ+ rights, reminded them of broader battles. Colt spoke at conferences advocating unity. Personal milestones marked growth. They began adoption proceedings, navigating bureaucracy. Doubts surfaced. "Will we be good parents?" Ryan asked. Colt's reassurance, "Better than what I had." Approval came, a foster child entering their lives. A teen boy, outcast like Colt once was. Mentoring him healed old wounds. Family reconciliation progressed unevenly. Holiday gatherings included Mother and Emily, awkward but hopeful. Father attended one, silent but present. Conversations evolved from strained to sincere. Brothers made amends variably, one fully, the other haltingly. Colt set boundaries. No more hate. Society's conflicts persisted. A Supreme Court ruling upheld protections. A victory celebrated. But backlash followed, boycotts, threats. Colt's TED-style talk went viral. From ashes to advocacy. It sparked debates on forgiveness versus accountability. Can bigots change? Forums asked. In quiet moments, Colt pondered choices. Had he forgiven too easily? Or not enough? Ryan's love grounded him. They traveled, exploring worlds beyond struggle. Europe's pride festivals, Asia's ancient cultures. Perspectives broadened. As the story circles back, Colt stands stronger, scars a testament to endurance. Yet, questions linger in a divided world. Is true family defined by blood, or by those who choose to love unconditionally?